Hey, so why do pro athletes go broke all the time? More importantly, why do people that make a lot of money go broke? I'm going to tell you why right now on this edition of the Unlock Success Podcast.
This is the Unlock Success Podcast. We're helping entrepreneurs around the world dive deep into the keys you need to shatter excuses, believe in yourself, and help you achieve your highest goals. Here's your host, 8-figure entrepreneur and the living legend of internet marketing, Anthony Morrison.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Anthony Morrison here, and welcome to this episode of the Unlock Success Podcast, where really I dig deep and try to find topics and conversations that we can have that truly help you have massive success, not just in business, but in life in general, right? I put this podcast together really because I wanted an outlet. I wanted a way to speak to people, to talk to people about entrepreneurship, about success, and about what it takes to achieve the goals that you have in life. And some of the lessons I've learned along the way. I'm 38 years old and have learned a lot of lessons the hard way, and then learned from those lessons and prevented those harder paths along the way in many cases as well. So super excited to have you join us here, and really excited to dive into the topic on this episode, which is why pro athletes go broke, right? And I want to give you the top reasons that I think, anyway, pro athletes go broke. And maybe, to be fair, we don't limit it just to pro athletes. I think what I actually want to talk about is why anyone who's made a lot of money really quickly can lose it all once their income stream dries up. You know, the truth is this kind of thing happens to a lot more people than just pro athletes. But those are the people, obviously, that we see in the news, and we see them on the internet, and we see them on Facebook, and it's trending because, oh my gosh, how did this guy make $100 million and go broke? So I wanted to give you my take on it. See, if you Googled this question online, there are two reasons that you're going to find, and these are the two most often, communicated to people. One is that they live an extravagant lifestyle, right? And two is that they have zero financial education, despite being some of the highest paid people on the planet. So today I want to give you my thoughts and talk a little bit about the dangers and traps that you'll set for yourself by living way above your means. And also the importance of knowing really what to do with your money, and when you do have some. How do we save it? What do we do with it? Where do we use it? These types of things. And so obviously the first thing is, when you make a lot of money, and I actually was able to, I experienced this myself. I came into a lot of money at a really young age. A lot like pro athletes do, they're 23, 24 years old. They get these big contracts, millions and millions of dollars. And the first thing that they start doing, and the first thing that most people start doing, is spending, right? We've made it and we spend it as if it's always going to be there. And just like a pro athlete, their career at some point comes to an end, be it, 10 years down the road or 10 days down the road due to injury, right? The same thing happens with a lot of people that make money really quickly. Normally, if you come into money really fast, that means you've hit on something that's trendy. For me, when I was young, I was probably 23, 24 years old, I hit on an affiliate marketing opportunity. And the campaign just went crazy. I started making over $300,000 a month. I thought I was the richest person in the world. I thought it was never going to end. When you first start making money, and this is why I do this podcast, this is why I want you to hear this, is when you first start making money, you truly believe that money will never end. You feel like, I figured it out, I've made this money, it will never end, and so you spend it as if it's never going to end, right? If you're making $50,000 a month, you're spending $45,000 to $50,000 a month because you're thinking, hey, next month I'm going to make $50,000 anyway. One of the biggest traps we get in is spending all that we make because we never stop to think about what happens if we're not making this money anymore, right? We believe that it's a never-ending thing, and it's not. I started making $300,000 a month at 24 years old, and that lasted for about two or 3 years, give or take, and then it dried up. All of a sudden, one day, Google made a change. It changed up the algorithms, the way search was done, and all of a sudden, my $300,000, $250,000 a month income dried up literally overnight. Now, most people would be in a lot of trouble because they would have a mortgage of $30,000 a month, and they would have a crew and an entourage and all of these things. But I always lived way below my means. I don't know really what made me do that. I think it's probably a product of why I started my first business. I saw my dad make tons of money throughout his lifetime. He retired and sold his apartment complexes for over $1 million, which 20 years ago was just a fortune, right? And then I saw him lose it all in one night. I saw him go from rich to broke just overnight. And I think for me, saving money has always been an important factor to me. I taught one of my friends in college how to do this, right? How to do this affiliate marketing. And I told him, I said, listen, man, don't go buy jet skis and boats. And those are my exact words. I said, don't go buy yourself jet skis and boats and fast cars. I said, save this money. Save it, because it may not be there one day, right? So save it up for the things that you really need in life, paying off your home and having financial security for your family and things like that. And I graduated and he graduated. He went back home. We went our separate ways. And years later, I had an opportunity to interview him when I was writing my first book, and I was interviewing one of my, the first people I taught internet marketing. And he said, well, just meet me out at my new house. And I have this crazy video from years ago of me walking through his house with him. It's just framed up. So it was just walking through the frames. And he said he paid cash for his house. And I looked at him kind of off the wall. I said, you paid cash for this house? How did you do that? And he said, man, I remember what you told me about saving my money. And I saved my money. I didn't blow it on boats and jet skis. And now I'm paying cash for my dream home. I'm going to, build my family in, the home that's going to, take care of my future kids and my wife and all this. And I was just like, wow, man, how impactful words can be, right? And I think that a lot of pro athletes don't have people tell them that. They have people encouraging them to spend money. They have people encouraging them to live that lifestyle that's literally at the very top of their means, so that one day when they're not able to make that money anymore, they can't sustain that life, right? And they're in debt based on that level of income, and they can't get out. And I think it also happens to people who are not athletes. When you come into a lot of money and you start making a lot of money, you are an instant target, a target for people to latch onto. They want you to live the high life so that they can live the high life. They may not be able to afford it, but since you can, they're going to encourage you to spend your money, right? And to live way above your means. My advice to you is that if you want to have financial security for a lifetime, when you start making money, live way, way, way below your means, right? I lived in a house for the better part of 9 years. I think it was about 9 years with my now wife that cost less money. The house itself cost less money than I made in 30 days. And I lived there for 9 years. I saved, right? And I'm not saying that you can never spend your money. This is not a message or a podcast out to tell people save and never spend and just hoard money. I mean, look, there's this balance, right? Because at the end of the day, you only live once. Life is only so long, right? You never know when it's going to end. So you want to live and you want to enjoy the money that you've made, and if you're going to put the time and the effort and the energy and the brain power into working and building a business and being successful and making money, then you also should be able to live the lifestyle that you choose, the lifestyle that you want, a lifestyle that's a little better than the average, right? Because you've succeeded and you've put in the time and the effort to do that. And so I think there's a balance, right, that you have to put in place. It's being successful in business doesn't feel as rewarding if you can't enjoy some of the fruits of your labor, right? So you've got to be able to spend some of your money, right? It's the excessive spending that gets you in trouble. So I can only tell you from my experience, I can only tell you what I do. I save my money. I don't blow it on things that I can't afford. I don't have an entourage, so I don't take care of the whole, every single person that walks up. I'm not in. It doesn't appease me to try to always be the one that's that's got the most money at the table, so I pay for everything, right? I take care of the people that I love, and I live a lifestyle that is certainly below my means, but not way below my means anymore, right? So I'm enjoying some of the money that I make, but I'm always focused on the fact that the money could one day dry up. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this message, is to always remember that the money that you're making today, it's not guaranteed tomorrow, right? So live a great life, but don't get yourself into massive debt. When it comes to investments, look, I tried investing myself and in the stock market and things. I never win with that. Okay, I always lose. Then I gave some money to some smarter people that all they do is invest money in the stock market. I've doubled my money there. So I put a small amount in that little bucket. I invest in real estate, but I invest only in places that I know. I take very small risks. So the way I think that you can avoid going broke after making a lot of money is to not live excessively and take risks, but smaller calculated risks with your investments. Don't go all in on something that you know nothing about just because somebody posted about it on Facebook. That's how you go broke again, right? How many athletes have you seen that are in the news because they made investments into things they didn't really know anything about? Somebody told them about it. They put $4 million, $5 million, $3 million in there, and they lost everything, right? In fact, some of them were even, tied up in the Bernie Madoff thing, right? Like, they just throw money at people without doing a lot of due diligence. So do your due diligence, make wise but small and calculated investments, and don't live above your means. This is a message that somehow was just kind of in here when I was younger. But I've continued to spread this message to as many people as I can, because with things like the internet, where it's so easy to go from broke to millionaire just like that overnight, without some kind of education on finances and some kind of motivation to save, all we see is the lifestyle others are living. We see that fake lifestyle on Instagram, right? And we want to live that because we feel like, well, that's what we should be doing since we're successful. There are plenty of people that have far more excessive Instagram posts than I do that don't make anywhere near as much money as I do. And they're not living a financially intelligent lifestyle, and I am. So my advice to you is be intelligent, save money, invest wisely, and don't go broke trying to be the coolest person on Instagram, right? Hopefully this message resonates to you. Hopefully it leads you in the right direction. And of course, I appreciate you joining me here on this episode of the podcast. And I look forward to seeing you next week with another episode of the Unlock Success Podcast.